I still remember the sound of that river. Not gentle like a lullaby, no. It was loud, angry, like it knew something terrible had already happened. I was 32 back then, young, strong, still believed the world had a little kindness left in it. I was volunteering with a church group, handing out blankets to migrants crossing the border waters. That's when I saw the boat, tilting, wobbling, barely holding together. Most people had already been rescued, but 2 tiny bundles were left behind. No crying, no movement, just silence. I thought they were gone. But when I picked them up, one of them squeezed my finger. I swear, my heart nearly stopped. 2 bobbies, a boy and a girl, wrapped in cheap cloth. No names, no papers, no one claimed them. The officers said they'd go into the system, foster homes, maybe split up. I couldn't let that happen. I had no husband, no kids, just a small house, a steady job, and a heart that had been lonely for too long. So I signed the papers. People called me crazy, said I was too old, too single, too soft. But when they looked at me, those big dark eyes, scared and searching, I felt like God had placed them in my arms on purpose. I named them Caleb and Lily. I gave them everything. Birthday cakes, school clothes, college savings. I worked 2 jobs, skipped vacations, skipped dating, skipped sleep. My whole life became them. They called me Mama. They hugged me in public. They told their friends I was their hero. And for a while, I believed it. But kids grow up. And sometimes, love turns into something cold and unrecognizable. I should have seen the signs sooner. The whispers. The strange looks. The way they stopped calling me Mom and started calling me that old woman. I thought it was just teenage attitude. I had no idea what they were planning. And by the time I realized, it was already too late. You ever have one of those moments where your gut tells you something's wrong, but you ignore it because you love someone too much? That was me that night. Caleb and Lily showed up at my house around 9 p.m. No calls, no warning, just standing on the porch smiling like old times. "Come on, Mama," Lily said. "We want to take you out, just us, family time." That should have made me happy. They hadn't called me Mama in years. I grabbed my coat, my purse, even put on a little lipstick, silly as that sounds. I thought maybe, just maybe, they finally remembered who raised them. The car ride was quiet at first. No music, no jokes, just the sound of tires on gravel. "Where we going?" I asked. "Just a surprise," Caleb said, eyes locked on the road. The city lights faded. Street lamps got farther apart. Houses turned into fields. Fields turned into nothing. That's when I started to feel it. That heavy feeling in your chest. Like something's pressing down on your soul. "Kids," I said, trying to laugh. "This doesn't look like a restaurant." They didn't laugh back. We pulled into a cemetery. Big iron gates, old headstones, the kind of place you only visit when someone's already gone. "Why are we here?" I whispered. Lily turned around in her seat and looked at me like I was a stranger. "You ruined our lives," she said. I thought it was a joke. It was. Caleb parked the car, shut off the engine, and turned to face me. His eyes were cold. Not angry, not sad, just empty. "You adopted us for attention," he said. "You wanted people to think you were some saint. We never asked for you." My hands started shaking. "Sweetheart, I saved you." They both laughed. Not a happy laugh. A laugh that still haunts my dreams. "Yeah," Lily said, "and now you're gonna pay us back." They opened the trunk. Inside was a shovel. I didn't scream. I couldn't. I just sat there, frozen, realizing the 2 bobbies I pulled from that boat were now strangers who hated me. And then Caleb said the words I'll never forget. "Get out, Mama. We dug a spot just for you." I wish I could tell you I fought back. I wish I could say I screamed, ran, or slapped some sense into them. But when you're an old woman sitting in the backseat of a car with 2 grown adults you raised, fear does something strange to you. It doesn't make you loud. It makes you quiet. They walked me through the cemetery, like I was already a ghost. The moon was bright, too bright. The headstones looked like teeth sticking out of the ground. The air smelled like dirt and cold stone. Caleb carried the shovel. Lily carried a lantern. I carried the weight of 30 years of motherhood. We stopped near the back, where no one ever visited. I saw it before they said anything, a dark hole in the ground. Fresh dirt piled beside it, a wooden board leaning against a tree. My knees went weak. "You dug this for me," I whispered. Lily didn't look at me. She stared at the hole like it was nothing. "You never listened," she said. "You controlled everything. Our clothes, our friends, our future. You called it love. We called it a prison." A prison. I worked 2 jobs for them, skipped doctors for myself, ate cheap food so they could eat better, paid for college, paid for cars, paid for everything. And now I was a prison. Caleb pushed the shovel into the dirt again, just to make the hole deeper. The sound of metal hitting soil echoed like a heartbeat. "You ever think about how embarrassing it was?" he said. "Teachers calling you our savior, neighbors praising you, like we were charity cases." I felt tears running down my face. "I loved you," I said softly. "I still do." Lily finally looked at me, her eyes shiny but hard. Love isn't enough. They stood on either side of me. Not like children. Not like family. Like strangers deciding my fate. Caleb took my arm. His grip was strong. Lily took the other. They walked me to the edge of the hole. I looked down. It was deep, dark, silent. And for the first time in my life, I realized something. I had saved them from death once. Now they were saving themselves from me. And then Caleb said, "Step in." The dirt was cold under my shoes. I remember that detail clearly. Cold, damp, heavy, like the earth already knew what it was about to swallow. "Step in," Caleb said again, firmer this time. My legs didn't want to move. But fear has a way of pushing you forward when love no longer can. I stepped into the hole. The walls were rough and uneven. The bottom was muddy, and my coat brushed against wet soil. When I looked up, they seemed taller than they ever had before, my bobbies, my children, standing over me like judges. Lily held the lantern high. The light flickered across my face, and I could see her expression clearly. She looked tired. Not angry, not happy. Just tired. "You know," she said quietly, "I used to dream about my real parents, wondered if they were looking for me, wondered if they missed me." Her voice cracked, but she didn't cry. "And then I realized," she continued, "maybe they were happy to lose me. Maybe I was just a problem they got rid of. And then you came in, acting like some hero." I swallowed hard. "I didn't want to replace anyone. I just wanted to love you." Caleb leaned on the shovel. "You loved us your way, but your way was always about you. Your rules, your expectations, your church, your image." Image. That word hit me like a slap. All those years I thought I was doing the right thing, all those sacrifices, and somehow they saw it as selfish. "You don't get to rewrite history," I whispered. "You don't get to erase the nights I stayed up when you were sick, the games I never missed, the bills I paid so you could dream." Lily looked away. Then Caleb lifted the shovel. He tossed the first scoop of dirt into the hole. It hit my shoulder. I flinched. They really were going to do it. And as the dirt started falling, I realized something terrifying. They weren't doing this out of rage. They were doing it like it was a chore. Like taking out the trash. And that hurt more than any anger ever could. Then Lily said, "This is what you wanted, right? To be remembered forever." The first scoop of dirt felt heavy, but the second one felt personal. It hit my cheek, slid down my collar, and settled against my skin like it was claiming me. I could taste it, dry, bitter, full of memories that weren't mine. Caleb kept shoveling. Scoop. Dump. Scoop. Dump. No hesitation, no shaking hands, no second thoughts. I looked up at them, searching for the children I used to know, the ones who ran into my arms after school, The ones who cried when they scraped their knees. The ones who called me mama with voices full of trust. They were gone. Please, I whispered. My voice sounded small, like it belonged to someone else. You don't have to do this. We can talk. We can fix things. Lily's eyes softened for just a second. But then she shook her head. You always said talking fixed everything, she said, but it never fixed how we felt. Another shovel of dirt hit my chest. I felt the weight pressing down, not just on my body, but on my memories. Every birthday party, every Christmas morning, every bedtime story. All of it felt like it was being buried right along with me. I started to shake. Not just from fear, but from heartbreak. You were my whole world, I said. I don't understand how I became your enemy. Caleb finally stopped shoveling and leaned on the handle. You were never our enemy, he said quietly. You were just never really our mother. Those words cut deeper than the dirt. I wanted to scream, to tell him motherhood isn't about blood. It's about staying, about choosing someone every single day, even when it's hard. But the words stuck in my throat. More dirt fell. It covered my legs, my stomach, my chest. I was sinking. The lantern light flickered above me, and shadows danced across their faces. For a moment, Lily looked like the baby I rescued from that boat, small, scared, reaching for warmth. Then the light shifted, and she looked like a stranger again. She took the shovel from Caleb and dumped another heavy load of dirt right toward my face. I closed my eyes. And that's when I heard her whisper, "This is goodbye, Mama." The dirt hit my face like a wave. It filled my mouth, my nose, my ears. I couldn't breathe for a second. I coughed, spit, tried to wipe my eyes, but more soil kept falling. The lantern light above me blurred, then disappeared behind shadows and tears. It got quiet. Too quiet. No birds. No cars. No voices. Just the soft scrape of the shovel and the thud of dirt hitting dirt. I started thinking about small things. Funny how your mind works when it thinks it's about to end. I thought about the first time Caleb said Mama. He was 2 years old, sitting on the kitchen floor with cereal all over his pajamas. He looked up at me and smiled like I was the only person in the world. I thought about Lily learning to ride a bike. She fell 5 times, scraped her knee, and still refused to quit. She told me, "I'm not scared, Mama, you're here." And now I was here, alone in a hole, being erased by the very children who once needed me. The dirt reached my shoulders. My hands were trembling. My heart was racing. "Kids," I whispered, even though I knew they probably couldn't hear me anymore. "I forgive you." I don't know why I said that. Maybe forgiveness was the only thing I still had control over. I felt the weight on my chest grow heavier. My breathing got shallow. The smell of soil filled my lungs. I tilted my head up, hoping for one last look at them. For a moment, I saw Lily's face. She was crying. Real tears. Caleb stood beside her, staring down, jaw clenched, like he was trying not to feel anything at all. Then the dirt covered my eyes. Everything went black. I don't know how long I was there. Seconds, minutes, hours, time stopped meaning anything. I thought this was it. And then, I heard footsteps. Voices. A flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. Someone shouted, "Hey, over here." The dirt started moving backwards. Hands grabbed my arms. Air rushed into my lungs like fire. And the last thing I heard before I passed out was Lily screaming. Wait, she's still breathing. When I woke up, everything smelled like disinfectant and plastic. Hospitals have a way of reminding you that you're still alive, even when you're not sure you want to be. A nurse told me a groundskeeper found me. He'd been making his rounds, noticed fresh dirt where it shouldn't be, and saw the lantern lying in the grass. He thought it was teenagers playing a prank. Then he heard something breathing. Weak, faint, human. He called 911. They pulled me out of that grave like I was being reborn, covered in dirt, barely conscious, but still here. Caleb and Lily were gone by the time police arrived. They were caught 2 days later in another state. Turns out they'd planned to disappear. New names, new lives, no mother, no past. They were charged, attempted murder, kidnapping, elder abuse. But what hurt the most wasn't the courtroom. It wasn't the headlines. It wasn't even the jail time. It was sitting there in that hospital bed, staring at the ceiling, realizing the 2 Bobbies I saved from that boat had tried to erase me from this world. People ask me if I hate them. No. Hate takes energy. Hate takes attachment. What I feel is grief. For the children they were. For the family I thought we were. For the life I gave up thinking love would be enough. Sometimes I wonder, if I hadn't pulled them from that boat, what would have happened? Would someone else have loved them better? Would they have turned out kinder? I'll never know. All I know is this. I was buried by the ones I raised. And somehow, I was given a second chance. Now I tell my story so people understand something. Love is powerful. But love doesn't guarantee gratitude. And sometimes, the people you save can become the ones who almost destroy you. I'm not their mama anymore. I'm just a woman who survived her own children. And every morning I wake up, touch the scar on my chest, and whisper, I'm still here,